What if the world's most populous country had taken a completely different path? What if Mao Zedong had lost and China became a democracy? Stay until the end, because this alternate history will change the way you see the modern world. The Chinese Civil War is drawing to a close. Mao's Communist Army is closing in from all sides, and Chiang Kai-shek flees with the remnants of the Kuomintang to the island of Taiwan. That's how it happened in reality. But what if things had gone differently? What if American support had arrived in time? The Kuomintang strategy had worked, and the red flag had never been raised over Beijing. Today, we're diving into an alternate history where China took a different road. And trust me, the consequences for the entire world would have been staggering. Imagine it. Spring of 1949. The Kuomintang receives massive military aid from the United States, weapons, advisors, funding. The communist armies are halted at the Huai River. Mao retreats north. After grueling negotiations brokered by the UN, a ceasefire is signed. The Republic of China has survived. Chiang Kai-shek is triumphant. But victory on the battlefield is only the beginning of the problems. The country lies in ruins after decades of war. Corruption within the Kuomintang is eating the state from the inside. Millions are starving. The communists aren't destroyed. They've retreated, reorganized, and are biding their time in the north. Chiang Kai-shek faces a choice: become a dictator for the sake of stability, or push through reforms and risk losing power. Instead of one China, the world gets two, much like Korea, only on a continental scale. The north is controlled by Mao's communists, with their capital in Harbin. The south is the Republic of China, with its capital in Nanjing. The United States pumps billions of dollars into southern China. Industrialization begins, slow and chaotic at first, but relentless. In this timeline, Taiwan remains part of mainland China rather than a separate island enclave. The Korean War still happens, but without Mao's Chinese volunteers, it ends faster and on terms far more favorable to the West. The Cold War takes on a new dimension. Now the front line runs not through the Taiwan Strait, but through the heart of China itself. Mao doesn't give up. In the north, he launches his cultural revolution, turning the territories under his control into a sealed totalitarian state. Millions perish from famine and repression. In the South, the picture looks different. Under pressure from the United States and its own society, the Kuomintang begins a gradual liberalization. The first free local elections appear. The press becomes somewhat freer. The economy grows, unevenly but steadily. Yet the greatest threat is internal. The younger generation of Chinese in the South no longer wants to tolerate the Kuomintang's one-party system. Student protests, strikes, demands for real democracy. Chiang Kai-shek cracks down on the unrest. But the seeds of change have already been planted. Chiang Kai-shek Dis. A new generation of reformers rises within the Kuomintang. Pragmatists who understand that to survive, they must change. Southern China experiences its own economic miracle, similar to what happened in real history with Taiwan, South Korea, and Singapore. Shanghai transforms into a world-class financial center. Canton becomes the workshop of Asia. Foreign investment pours in like a river. In the north, meanwhile, crisis. After Mao's death in 1976, the communist regime begins to rot from within. The economy grinds to a halt. People flee south in massive numbers. And then something no one expected happens. Crushed by economic collapse and popular uprisings, the northern communist government falls. Not through war, through its own impotence. Reunification talks begin. They drag on for years, painful and complicated. But in 1995, the Republic of China becomes whole, from Harbin to Guangzhou. It is the largest reunification in the history of humanity. Now, for the most fascinating part. What would our world actually look like? The Vietnam War, as we know it, would never have happened without the backing of Mao's China. The North Vietnamese regime would have been far weaker. The United States might never have intervened at all. The Soviet Union would have stood alone. Without its Chinese ally, the Soviet bloc would have been considerably weaker geopolitically. The Cold War might have ended years earlier. There would be no communist-style Chinese economic miracle. Instead, the world would have gotten a democratic China, possibly the largest democracy on the planet. Taiwan, in this timeline, it never becomes a separate state. It remains a province of a unified China. And nuclear weapons? The Republic of China would most likely have developed them under the American security umbrella, or perhaps renounced them entirely in exchange for security guarantees. History has no room for the conditional tense, but that's exactly what makes alternate history so captivating. One battle, one decision, one moment, and the entire world could have taken a different path. A Kuomintang victory would not have guaranteed a perfect China. Corruption, inequality, internal conflict, none of that would have simply disappeared. But the millions who died during the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution might still have been alive. And who knows, perhaps in that world, we wouldn't be talking about tensions over Taiwan right now, because the Taiwan crisis simply wouldn't exist. One decision, one moment, a different world. If you enjoyed this alternate history, subscribe to the channel because there are plenty more stories like this one coming. What if Hitler had lost the Battle of Britain in 1940? What if the Soviet Union had collapsed back in the 1970s? What if Napoleon had won at Waterloo? Hit subscribe and don't miss the next journey into the history that never was.